to address officers in Central Division perpetuating the myth that homeless people are criminals. And not only that, but you allowed them to show maps of crimes that were happening outside of Skid Row. However, your officers were part of creating the narrative that somehow homeless people were traveling outside of the community and committing those crimes. And also, your officers in Central Division were on social media platforms in closed groups having conversations with gentrifiers who were complaining about homeless people in parks, who were doing absolutely nothing. Weeks later, your officers were posting selfies of themselves in the parks, making sure that people were safe in their parks and that homeless people were no longer to be seen there. You were harassing. You sat there and allowed for police officers to harass and confiscate property of homeless people at the day after it rained, as it was extremely hot outside, ticketing homeless people for being under shade and having tents up and trying to shelter themselves from the harsh conditions. Another thing that Central Division did that I couldn't believe actually happened, but they promoted a killer cop, Officer Martinez, to senior lead officer no more than 2 years after he murdered a homeless individual, Charlie Africa Kunang, in Skid Row, which you still have never showed us the body cam footage of that. It was less than a block away from Ocaño, who was murdered by police officers as well. And then less than a year later, your officers shot and killed a man on Olympic and Broadway. And still, all of those were found to be in whatever the fuck you call it, in your rules. But I say this to say, I was actually, so as your officers were sitting here week after week talking about their community outreach, they never once, the community that they were talking to was not the community that is